A quick little introduction. Hello once again. I am Julie. I'm the Vice President of Programming, and I am thrilled today to be introducing our guest. And today we have Kathy Knecht, and she is with Knecht for Success, and she is going to be talking to us today about what we can do to prepare for sending our kids to college, what that means, what we need to know, what we need to start doing now to be prepared to have as many opportunities for our kids as possible. So just a little bit more about Kathy. I think she might introduce herself as well, but she has been a longtime advocate for education and for students and families. She is a former classroom teacher. She served on the Peoria Governing Board, and now she is entering this new program that she's going to be bringing to us to share all of this wonderful information to us, because once again, it's families and education and kids. So right along with what she's been doing all along. And she is here today with Keystone Financial Services. And so what we're going to do, I believe, is just so we can focus on what our presenters are going to share with us today. The chat is being turned off. But you will be able to submit your questions to the host so that we can make sure that in the end, any questions that you need to ask, we can try to find answers for all of those. So I will now turn over to Kathy. Thank you so much.
How's that for a start? I was muted. Is my screen correct? Are you just seeing my slide presentation?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Julie, and thank you, UPC. I am Kathy Knecht, and I was on my governing board in Peoria for 12 years, and we have a UPC in Peoria, and I have to say that the Paradise Valley UPC has always been our role model. And just watching the last few minutes of your presentation today, you're firing on all cylinders, and I'm so excited about the work you do. For the record, I am a parent. My husband and I have put 2 kids all the way through college, so we're done with this phase of our life. And I happen to be personal friends with 3, and now that I've met Kia, 4 of your presidents and past presidents at UPC, and I consider that a gift. I'm grateful for that. Today's discussion is about how to plan and prepare and ultimately pay for your child's education. I am here representing Keystone Financial Planning Services, and this is our first maiden voyage. So thank you for welcoming us, and let's hope it goes great. I'm sure it will. What we're going to learn about today, and the most important thing, is hopefully you'll be motivated to start thinking about and planning now for your child's education, whether they're in 3rd grade or 8th grade or 11th grade. It's never too soon to start thinking about that. We're going to give you a general sense of what college might cost. We're going to give you an introduction into the forms and formulas that are used to figure out what you're going to have to pay to get your kids into school. I will say that this presentation sometimes has a lot of information. I've been informed that, well, I know that this is being recorded and it'll be available to you later. So don't feel like you have to scratch down every little thing in here. It will be available to you later. And also at the end of the presentation, we are going to provide to you a resource guide with multiple tools, multiple links that you can use for every stage of this presentation. So you can spend your time to go back and look and find out more deeper information and tools that you can use. So I want to welcome all of you, you awesome parents. You might wonder, how do I know if you're awesome? Well, I know that you're a member of the Paradise Valley United Parent Council, so that is a huge indication right there. And I know that this is the 2nd hour of the meeting, and that if you're here looking at it, you're going to spend some time looking at this very important step in your child's future, which incidentally, and I'm sure you already have a sense, is going to have a significant financial impact on your family. So I'm wondering, are you the typical parent If you are, you're sitting there now thinking, how could I possibly be thinking about college today, my little baby? Most families have total savings between 1 to 5% of their annual income. They have less than a half of 1 year's tuition saved at this time. Most families have minimal cash flow and unintended wealth leakage. I love that term, learned that term when I started doing research for this project. Wealth leakage is two things. It can be not taking advantage of opportunities that would help you save money over the long run. And it also can be, those trips to Starbucks or that third pair of jeans that maybe you don't need that can increase the amount of money that you have available to you. Many families have large amounts of consumer debt, and many, unfortunately, even though they're saving for retirement, when it comes to college, they could be put in the position that they have to sacrifice that retirement to pay for college. That's what we're going to try and avoid today. And I'm sure that you are here because you want your children to be happy and successful, and we certainly do too. We know that college choices can be very overwhelming. They're like that onion with multiple layers. You're thinking about what school should we choose for our child? What career will they land in? Are they going to live on campus? Are they going to commute to school? It's going to be different for you. You're going to have another adult living in your family. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but welcome to the most expensive time in your family history. We brought a couple of cartoons that illustrate some of the anxiety associated with sending your kids to school. This one, of course, represents our fear that our kids are going to go through school, and by the time they end with it, end school, they could be burdened with huge student debt. This one represents if there is debt, maybe your child would end up having to forego other life streams like getting married or buying a house or traveling. We hope to avoid that as well. Maybe you're worried that your child will actually have to move back in with you because of student debt. And then this one represents to pay for our son's college tuition. They say we had to sell our own house, and of course, nobody would live in a box, I hope. But yeah, that's the kind of fear that we all have. And so that's what we're trying to talk about today. When we look at this slide, we think about it from the bottom up, from the worst case scenario at the bottom up to the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is your child doesn't have any post-secondary education at all. A hardly better case would be that they get the education, but that either they or you are saddled with a lot of debt and your savings is wiped out. A better case, of course, is that your child picks a school that they and you can afford with a manageable cost, and you end up with a degree or a certificate and little or no debt. Of course, the best case scenario, and what we're fighting or what we're working for today, is a great fit school with no debt and that your retirement is left intact. According to the Social Security Administration, men with a bachelor's degree earn approximately $900,000 more in their median lifetime earnings, and women earn another $630,000 more. Now, we can talk about the gender inequities right there, but that's a topic for another day. The point here is that for students who stop their education at high school, they never meet their maximum earning potential like they would if they went into higher education. So when's the time to start thinking about this? It's now, it's today. And so let's get started. College is affordable, and there are 4 parts to the solution. First is picking the right school. Second is understanding your personal resources. Third is understanding and exploring what financial aid is available to your student and to yourself. And number 4 is making sure that you're taking advantage of the tax aid. So the first one is, where are you going to go? Where is your child going to go to school? Our resource guide that we will present to you at the end of this presentation has some really fun exploration that you can do. My favorite is one that ASU creates, and just through selecting photographs, you can kind of guide yourself towards those courses and careers that you have an affinity to. But there are also other surveys and checklists where you can guide yourself towards those colleges and those careers that may be a good fit. So we're happy to provide those to you. There are so many options. There are career and technical schools. There are community colleges. There are apprenticeships that you can work with professionals and then enter into the field right away. State universities, and then private colleges and universities as well. So lots to choose from. I want to talk just a minute about the difference between vocational institutions and academic institutions. Vocational is a wonderful option for many, many students. You learn practical hands-on skills in a vocational school. Those things might be like automotive technician, air conditioning technician, medical assistants, pharmaceutical. You learn those practical skills and there's quick entry into the job market. Usually those programs are more flexible, meaning that you can adjust the student's day or the week around the schedule. And usually, but not always, there's lower cost. Those programs can be both private and public as well. Just for your edification, one of the private schools, one of the biggest private vocational schools, has an annual tuition of $19,900 a year. So that's a private option. Schools such as Rio Salado in the Phoenix area, much less expensive but similar programming. If you opt for the academic institution, your child will have more opportunity to explore different fields of study. And as we mentioned in the previous slide, your degree will increase lifetime earning potential. And one thing about going away, at least to an academic institution, is it does often provide the opportunity to develop those life skills and independence. Again, school selection, you could opt to go with the community colleges and public universities. There are also smaller, lesser known private colleges. One thing that's interesting about them is that even though the sticker price can be higher, they are obligated to fill their seats. So if they're not filling up like they want to, they can sometimes be less selective and they can offer more financial incentives to go to those schools. So they're definitely worth exploring. And of course, we're familiar with the Columbias and Harvards, those elite private colleges. Yes, they are very expensive. Their ticket price is pretty darn high, but they are obligated by law to guarantee grant aid to many middle and low income students. The problem there is they're still very highly selective. A lot of people want to get in there, so it's not always easy to get accepted into those schools. Key considerations for you and your child: is the school that we are narrowing in on, is it a good fit? Can my child get in? And of course, how much is it going to cost? What school is a good fit for your child? One thing to think about is, where are they going to live? Are they going to live at home and go to a school nearby? Are they going to commute to one that's further away? Are you going to send them to something out of state? Those are considerations, and of course, cost is connected to those kinds of decisions. Where are the programs that support their career goals? If they want to study aviation, you might want to specifically narrow in on schools that focus on aviation or medicine or communications. Look at the schools that are most well known for what your child wants to study. Where do they offer the scholarships for your child's gift? Are they a volleyball player? Are they in drama? Where are the schools that offer scholarships for those special gifts? And is your child going to work to help pay for some of these college expenses? These are some ideas or some reasons maybe not to pick a school. The favorite football team, the favorite mascot, my girlfriend or boyfriend goes there, mom or dad went there, and that's what we've talked about our whole childhood. There's a lot of heart in there, but remember, you're making some of the biggest financial decisions of your life. So you want to make decisions with your head. Do think about support systems that may be available around your child's, where your child is going to school. Is there extended family there? Is there a faith community that they'll feel connected to there? Those kinds of things are things that you want to think about before your child locates to a school. And what about the community? What about the environment? Are they going to thrive near the beach, or are they going to thrive in an urban setting? And what are the extracurriculars that are going to keep them excited about life in general, not just school? Colleges are looking for your child's GPA. They may look at the ACT or the SAT. You have to look at the school, find out what the school is looking for. Interesting thing about the ACT and the SAT, during the pandemic, ACT and SAT scores have been put on hold. They are not being looked at for the immediate future. They'll look at class rank, and they'll look at application essays. That's another thing we provide to you in your resource guide. Many schools look at how your child can write. And so we have provided 2022, 2023 sample prompts, those topics that your child might be asked to look for, to write about this year. And often they ask for letters of recommendation. This is just a list. I won't read it all. Colleges are looking for lots of things. But if you look at the bottom, they do look at the level of the applicant's interest. This was very fascinating to me. Colleges and universities actually track such things as whether or not you and your family have visited their campus, whether or not you've attended a meeting, a localized meeting maybe at a high school about this college or university. They're tracking your emails, your phone calls. They're looking to see if you are really interested in them. And so what's it going to cost? Well, the bad news is the cost of college has increased 1,200% since 1980. And as you can see, it's only gone up. We like to use this example. A year of college costs about what it costs to buy a car. Now, depending on the school, it could be a used Celica, or it could be a brand new Cadillac Escalade. That's where choosing the right school and making sure you have the right financial aid is really important. But consider this, you're not talking just about 1 year. You're talking about multiple years and perhaps multiple children. So it's like buying a fleet of cars. And maybe it's more than 4 years too. And if your student goes beyond 4 years, every semester beyond that 4th year is time that they are not working, they're not contributing to their own financial bottom line, and they're not contributing to their retirement. Actually, the percentage of students that graduate in 4 years for public schools, it's 32%, and for private schools, it's 51.9%. So you should plan on the fact that your child quite likely may go on beyond that 4th year. And of course, the last year is always the most expensive because of inflation and rising costs. This slide, I think, is really important, and I think it's maybe what people are really wondering about. These are numbers from 2021. And if you look at the upper left, we're talking about the average tuition and fees for private schools and public schools. The private colleges in 2021, the average tuition was $38,070. At public schools in state, it was $10,740, and out of state, meaning you go to a state school, but maybe it's University of Michigan. So it's a state school, but it's an out-of-state tuition, was $27,560. That's per year. But this is where it gets a little more overwhelming. Look at the lower left. We're not just talking about tuition and fees. We're talking about room and board. We're talking about books and supplies, transportation, and those personal expenses. That goes in together to be called the cost of attendance. That's really what you have to pay for, not just the tuition, all those other things too. So when we talk about COA, the cost of attendance per year, private schools are about $54,800. In-state schools, ASU, U of A, would be $27,330, and out-of-state public schools, $44,150. You'll have to manage these costs, but there are ways to do it. Don't panic. There are lots and lots of grants and scholarships available. Hopefully you have savings and investments. If not, we can get them started, and they can be managed in a way to be there when you need them. And perhaps, and many families do find the need during this time to take out a loan. Grants and scholarships. Right now, only 1 to 3% of dollars spent on college comes from grants and scholarships. And what that means is that there's a lot more money out there. These grants and scholarships are not being applied for, or they're not being awarded because there's just money left on the table. What we recommend is you can get more money if you pursue grants and scholarships like a part-time job. My husband recommended that to our daughters. They didn't take the advice, unfortunately. And here's why it's unfortunate. Imagine that you spent 10 hours writing out a scholarship and writing an application, and you end up with a $5,000 scholarship. That's a $500 per hour rate of your time, return on your time. So it's definitely worth it. And in fact, we have a friend, his daughter was accepted into the Barrett College at ASU, and she spent all summer writing and writing and writing. And when she added in when she added in everything, you know, all the scholarships that she had been awarded, she actually got to go all 4 years at no cost. So it is time well spent if you do that. Proper investments made and managed now can make paying for college much less burdensome when the time comes. You may or may not, and you may want to get this started, have a retirement account, Roth IRA. There are 529 accounts, which are specifically designed to save money for higher education. And you may have some other investments as well. So this is where you would want to talk to a financial advisor to see what you have in place or what you could put in place to be ready when the time comes. You may be thinking it's time to borrow. After you've exhausted all the other options, you might want to look into student loans, parent loans, and don't forget grandma and grandpa may be in a position to help out, and you can arrange a private loan with them as well. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So how are you going to pay? The big questions are, how much are we willing and able to pay? How can we reduce our costs at each one of the colleges that we're seriously exploring? And how will we, meaning us and our child, work together to fund the full college expenses? And here we're digging into some nitty-gritty. Questions about financial aid. You're going to want to find out if the school offers merit aid, and I'll give some good examples of that in just a minute. How are your assets going to be counted on any of the forms that you have to fill out? What percentage of a student's calculated need for aid do each of the colleges provide? And again, let me just remind you, you don't have to be scribbling all this down. It's going to be available to you later. There are going to be lots of tools to help you sort all this through. What does the aid consist of? Is it a combination of maybe scholarships, which is free money, money that you don't have to pay back, and a combination perhaps of loans as well that you do have to pay back? So for every family, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. It'll all come together to come together differently for everybody. And can you structure your finances to qualify for more aid? There are two kinds of aid that it's really important to understand the difference. First is merit aid, and that is based on your child's ability to play. And play has many meanings, of course. It means, can they compete academically? Are they a gifted athlete? Are they a gifted artist in one way or another? So many schools offer merit aid, and that's free money. They'll say, we love what you're bringing to the table, students, so we're going to give you this money to come to our school. Then there's need. We talked about that cost of attendance, that tuition plus all those other fees and expenses that go together. If you think about the cost of attendance at a given school, and then the expected family contribution. In other words, once you fill out the forms, what does the government think that expect you and your family to pay towards tuition? So the cost of attendance minus that expected family contribution equals your need. And that needs to be made up through scholarships, through grants, or through work study to make up the difference. So maybe you're thinking, do we qualify for needs-based aid? Once again, if a student's expected family contribution is less than the college cost of attendance, then you will qualify for needs-based financial aid. The expected family contribution will be calculated using this information. And don't write this down. On our resource guide, we have a website that you can go to. It will ask you what all of these different factors are, and it will instantly calculate your expected family contribution. So you have a sense of what you need to make up, either through your savings, through your investments, through your child getting scholarships or grants. And so you'll know what you have to make the difference to pay for college tuition. There are some costly assumptions that families make, and we hope to alleviate that problem today. First of all, is that thinking that I'm not going to go through the process of seeking out aid because my family makes too much money. Well, remember that merit-based scholarships are not subject to a family's income at all. So your child is still quite able to take advantage of scholarships and grants. Number two, our child's grades are too low. Well, as long as the student makes a minimum grade of being accepted into a school, they can qualify for needs-based scholarships and grants. Our home is worth too much money. We're going to talk about the Fafsa, the big daddy of applications, and it does not ask about how much your home is worth. So that is not a factor when filling out the Fafsa. And you might think, oh, well, getting financial aid is easy, and be tempted to put it off till it's much later in the game. It is easy if you follow the process, but it does take some time. So this isn't something that you want to be putting off till your child's in 11th grade. And some people think, well, I'm just going to have my child identified as an independent, and then they can get all kinds of extra money. Well, to be an independent, both of your parents have to have passed away. You have to be 24 years old, have children, be married, or be pursuing a graduate degree. So chances are that's not what your children are now. They're not independent at this point. So we're going to pause here. Kathy's going to get a drink. It's really important for you to know that when you're going through this process, every single school will be different, and what they want and what they'll be able to offer your child. So there is no such thing as cookie cutter when you are looking into finding the right school for your child. And you ultimately may be using, like that puzzle piece I talked about, a combination of gift aid that you don't have to pay back and self-help. And self-help would be work study, where your child is working to get through school, or loans that you take out as an individual or as a family. So here's how we're going to get it done. This is about opportunities available in the state of Arizona. Of course, our state universities offer terrific scholarships to kids that are coming out of Arizona schools. And I have a more detailed slide on the next slide. Residents of Western states in Arizona, but outside of Arizona, like Colorado, California, Utah, Washington, they can enroll in a WUI program, and that stands for the Western Undergraduate Exchange. And what it offers is a tuition rate of 150% plus all the applicable fees of in-state tuition. So it's like going to an out-of-state school, but for 1.5 times what it is in-state. It's a wonderful opportunity to get a discounted tuition rate in a different state. And you do have to know that some of those programs are limited to selected majors, but do take a look at that. The Arizona Promise Scholarship is brand new during the pandemic. It's full tuition to low-income students who have a zero expected family contribution. So again, what that means is They've gone through the entire application process on the FAFSA, the federal form. And when they did all the calculation, it said your family is not expected to pay anything. If that is the case, they can go to school in Arizona for no cost. The Arizona Teachers Academy will cover the balance of tuition and fees after the aid is awarded, and in exchange for a promise to teach in public schools here in Arizona. I just learned about the Be a Leader Foundation. There are resources, financial and otherwise, for first-generation college students. That's pretty amazing. And on your resource guide that we're going to provide for you is best scholarships in Arizona. So we'll help to take a look at that. Now, I'm an ASU girl and proud of it, but this slide uses U of A as an example because it too is an excellent school. The point of this slide is to show you that good grades really can save you and your family a lot of money. The scholarships have different names at the different schools, and they're not exactly the same, but they're similar. This is the example from the University of Arizona. So the higher your grade, you can see on the slide, if you get a 4.0, they're going to give you $12,500 a year. And then the lower your grades, the lower the gift, but there's still a gift. Now, just to give an illustration of how important this is, I'll tell a little personal story. My younger daughter, wonderful student, except for in one class. She got a C in one class. In 4 years, she got a C in one math class. And the teacher was not going to allow her to make it up no matter what. And so that one C cost our family $2,500 per year. So per semester. Oh, the guy who wrote the check is behind me. So $20,000 over the course of her school career. So it really matters to keep those grades up. It can make a big difference on the scholarships the schools give you. Locally too is really important to explore what's available. I know that Paradise Valley has a district foundation. Most of the big school districts in Arizona do. You need to ask them what scholarships are available to our graduating seniors. Also, community groups like the Rotary Club, like the Elks Club, they quite frequently have higher education scholarships for kids. Local businesses and nonprofits, you'd be surprised, might be offering scholarships and grants. And don't forget your high school counselor. This is what they do. They're all about helping to make sure that kids know what opportunities are available to them. So I can't see who's raising hands, but raise your hand if you've heard of the FAFSA. You probably have. And it can be a little daunting. You can feel a little overwhelmed when you look at it, but it's really important. And here's why. First of all, it doesn't cost you anything to complete it. And approximately 8 million people fail to fill out the FAFSA when if they had, they would have gotten some federal aid from it. Schools require to audit it, so you can't make any mistakes on it, because if you do, they could pull back any award that you were given. So make sure that it's done correctly. Getting some professional advice through that process is not a bad idea. And it needs to be submitted on October 1st of your senior year. And if you are getting an award from the federal government and you want that award to be perpetuated from year to year, it needs to be filled out every year. The high school class 2021 left an estimated $3.75 billion that was available through the FAFSA unclaimed because they didn't fill it out. And in Arizona, that number was 104,475,997. That's pretty exact. Unclaimed because they didn't fill out the FAFSA. So it can definitely be worth your time. Again, you don't have to write all this down, but these are the kinds of things that they are going to ask you about when you fill out the FAFSA. And I know that some people in your organization had some questions about special needs students. So I just wanted to let you know that I did that research, and in general, special needs trusts and assets from an ABLE account are not reported on the FAFSA. So they would not count towards your expected family contribution. But as usual, when filling out forms, government forms, there can be exceptions to this. So this is where you would want to check with your trust advisor to make sure. Okay, there's another form. It's called the College Scholarship Services Profile, the CSS profile. This is one that is used by some private institutions in addition to the FAFSA. So this is what for private schools. Just so you know, none of the schools in Arizona use the profile, and there are about 400 in the country that use the CSS profile. They ask for the same things as the FAFSA, plus they do look at your home equity, and they will look at any businesses that you own and non-qualified annuities. So if you're filling out the CSS and these are questions, you might want to talk to a professional about that. Comparing the profile versus the FAFSA, the CSS profile will also require that the student that there's a minimum student contribution. The FAFSA doesn't ask for that. The profile does have a registration fee to fill that out. FAFSA is completely free. The CSS profile is submitted in the fall. FAFSA is not submitted before January 1st. And the CSS profile will be specific to the school you are applying to, which means that if, let's say you're applying to 4 different private institutions and they all require the profile, you'll have to fill that out 4 different times for 4 different schools because they'll ask different questions. When you fill out the FAFSA, that will be one form that all the schools that use the FAFSA, you can send that to all the different schools and only fill it out once. So that's the FAFSA. All right, tax aids. It's important to know that there are 2 tax credits that can help you offset the cost of tuition and fees and books. The first one is called the American Opportunity Credit, and that will allow you to claim up to $2,500 per student per year for the first 4 years of school. And the second one is called the Lifetime Learning Credit, and that allows you to claim up to $2,000 for any college, or this can also be a career and technical school, and that's $2,000 a year. And you can claim one or the other in a given year, but not both. And then if you're doing some sophisticated planning for the future, you can do some income shifting and investing to ensure that there's a tax benefit to you when you're sending your kids to school. We're kind of getting near the end. Maybe you're feeling this right now. Why do I have to be thinking about this now? He's only in 4th grade. Because thinking about it earlier makes the journey less anxious. How can I get scholarships? How do I make sure that I get to my kid to the school that's going to make him or her most successful? So all these questions are going through your head. I'm sure you're not alone. Everyone on this screen is thinking the same thing. Some of us have been through it and we have survived. And then we have some amazing people here to help. Who can help during this process? If you have a CPA, he or she will have amazing advice about how to manage your money. Remember that they may not know all the tips and tricks specifically about being college bound and paying for college, but they know a lot. Your high school guidance counselor knows a lot about this stuff. Unfortunately, as we know, high school guidance counselors are really, really busy, but don't forget that they have a lot to offer. College financial aids officers, they call them the FAO. Each college has their own. And if you want to get really into the nitty-gritty about what each specific school is asking particular to them, you might want to reach out to a college financial aid officer. They're going to be specific to their school more so than be able to give you advice about all kinds of schools. And then financial advisor, like the ones that are employing me at Keystone, They're specializing in college financial readiness. So really a good group to reach out to. Be careful listening to your next door neighbor because things change, trends change, amounts change. And watch out. We've given you tons and tons of resources online, but be careful about all the pop-up ads. Just it's a lot to navigate, but you'll be great. Let's see here. The people I work for are Pam Prine and Kim Dyer at Keystone Financial Readiness Strategies, and I want you to take advantage of the complimentary resource guide. I'll send a link out in just a minute. And they have a great website with lots of free information, webinars on how to leverage your assets so that they're available to you when it's time to pay for school. And I'm going to send out a link on a survey. And if you choose to, you can share your contact information. And I'm sure, and I know that they will send out other tips and advice. And they're offering a free college planning strategy session with one of their college planning advisors. So that's available to you. They want to help you develop a plan to prioritize your financial objectives. Are you planning on retiring? Are you planning on traveling? Are you planning on sending a kid to college? Maybe you're planning on sending 4 kids to college. Help you prioritize those financial obligations. Understand what your out-of-pocket expenses are so you can eliminate that wealth leakage and determine which options are available to you as you move forward. The Keystone team wants to help you select the right school for your child, establish a plan, maybe reach out to find out if there are other family members who can contribute to this financial opportunity, and to review your options and strategize to ensure that the forms are filled out completely and your kids are set to go to school. The experts, they'll give you, what they'll do in addition to talking to you and assessing the situation is they'll give you access to specialized software, which is designed to track and manage your path to college and make sure you're not missing any opportunities. We want to help you create a solid plan. Again, even if you don't meet them in person, if you choose not to go and see them, that's fine. Here is their website, keystonegroupaz.com. I noted before, there are lots of different resources available there. And I'm going to put right now in the survey this link. We do have a 3-question survey. And on this survey, you're going to be asked for your email, but you can opt out of any further communications if you want. And if you have a specific question, go ahead and type it in there, and one of the team members at Keystone will follow up with you and get your question answered. And then when you hit submit, there will be a link, and that's to our resource guide that you can download and save and utilize at the time that is convenient for you. Let me put this in here. Yay. There is the link in the chat. And I want to thank PVUPC for being our very first audience for this presentation. Thank you so much. I do hope that on the survey, you'll give us great feedback so we can make this presentation even better moving forward. We want to meet your needs and answer your questions. And I wanted to thank Vicki Beam. She is one of Pam and Kim's colleagues who first created this presentation for parents, and it was so popular that we wanted to bring it here to Arizona. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I don't know if Julie's still on. Julie, are you there? Are you here still? She had to step away, I know. Oh, there you are.
That's all right.
I'm here. No, I just couldn't get to the button. Something was covering it. I'm here. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. All the questions, I think we're going to Melissa as the host. Melissa, have you received any questions yet?
I've got plenty of them. One of the things I wanted to comment on, I happen to be a parent of a senior looking at college next year, and I've been dealing with all of this. But one thing, for those of you that don't know, that may not have kids in as a junior or senior in high school, I believe all of our high schools not only have their guidance counselors, but they do have a college prep counselor as well. So there should be 2 resources immediately at your schools, and one is very much set up for the application and learning about the colleges and those things. So just keep that in mind at the schools. But we do have some questions here.
Well, Melissa, let me just say this before you start shooting questions at me. I am not a professional financial advisor.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll throw these out, and then have to suggest that participants fill out that survey that Kathy sent over. So if you have these questions, please feel free to put those into the survey. And also don't forget, Julie's going to reload her. Did you just do that, Julie? You're probably doing it at the same time. Julie's going to reload the survey for the presentation, because we do want feedback on that as well. So Kathy, I'm going to ask these questions again. If you can't answer them, just let us know. That's not a problem. The first one is, do the academies like West Point or, well, this is asking about special programs for aid. West Point in the United States Air Force, West Point is free. If you are admitted, it is a free program, but you have to be nominated by a senator, if I'm not mistaken. So
and you have to agree to serve for a period of time beyond your education.
But I don't know about the United States Air Force, but I do know West Point is free. So let me go on to the next question. It says, does Arizona have the option for high school students? Oh boy. Okay. I can actually answer this for you. Okay,
good, go for it.
some of you folks, please know United Parent Council has on our YouTube channel plenty of presentations about preparing for high school, which is what this question is really addressing, as well as preparing your middle schooler for high school and high schooler for college. So please look at those presentations. I'll read the question first, and then Kathy, you and I can both probably answer this. Does Arizona have options for high school students to split time between high school and college classes, or do full-time college classes using state money to pay for the college classes? I can tell you as a parent of a freshman and as a senior, this does not address the state aid issue, but I can tell you our high schools have both dual enrollment options and AP classes. For those that don't know, dual enrollment is paid at the community college level, but you get college level credit. AP is a test that has to be taken, and AP is about $85 to take that test. If your student does not do well on tests, do not go the AP route. It is just throwing your money away. Did that on a couple of classes, didn't get any credit for it. My kids have taken dual enrollment since then and done very well. As for state money to pay that, Kathy, do you have any information about it? Just so you know, those classes are like $300. It's not very expensive.
Right.
And you can take concurrently.
No, I don't know about state funding for that. I would also say that those dual enrollment classes are done on the high school campuses. So they don't have to go to the college. That happens on school campuses. And the question about the military made me think too. One of the things that I didn't mention, it was in a list, but if you're a family that has veterans, that there's money available for veterans, and if you have had a parent who has passed away in military service, there's monies available for that as well.
Yeah, and all of those funds have changed. They are very restricted on veterans and veteran access for their students unless they're still active duty. They really shut down a lot of those programs. So you have to look at that, and you have to call the VA to find out those options. We're a family of a veteran as well. So, but in terms of taking college classes while in high school, you can take college classes in high school, both online and at our community colleges is the easiest way to do it. It is also available, of course, through, I believe through ASU, U of A, and NAU, but those are different admission options when you are still a high school student. My senior is taking courses right now concurrently, meaning they are in high school and taking classes at Rio Salado. They are classes that will help her graduate from high school, but she will receive college credit for them. So as a freshman, she will not have to take English 101 and 102. She already took that and got her senior year English as well as her freshman year English taken care of in one fell swoop for about $300.
Yeah, which is a really cost-effective way to do it.
Right. So there's a question about, what does Kathy think about scholarship apps like Scholly, SCHOLLY, and where should people research scholarship opportunities?
So on your resource guide are about a half a dozen different sites that offer all kinds of resources, and some of them will let you say, you know, they'll let you say, I'm good at this, and I'm an athlete, I'm an artist, I'm an academic, and they'll help you guide you towards different scholarships. I don't know that one in particular, but there are a handful there that really kind of do some of the sorting out for you ahead of time. And one is specific to Arizona as well.
Fantastic. Some folks are asking if the presentation is being shared after this meeting. This entire presentation is being recorded and will be not only, well, it will be on our YouTube channel, the PVUPC under our YouTube, and it will go up probably within 24 hours. I don't know how quickly we can access that video, but we do put it up there later. So, okay. Thank you so much, Kathy. I'm going to turn.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'll just reiterate the way I started. There's a lot of information out there. And if what this presentation did was motivate you to start thinking about it today, then we have done our job. You just don't want to be caught off guard, and you don't want to be sacrificing things you don't have to sacrifice when the time comes to pay for school. So thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your great information. I look forward to looking at this, the materials you sent over from the Keystone with their strategies. Again, I've got a senior, so this is very right on task for me. So thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And Kia, any closing thoughts for us?
No, I just want to say thank you to Kathy and thank you to Keystone Financial Readiness Strategies for all of this information and for making yourselves available as a resource for PV parents. We really appreciate it.